Oh, a little disappointed. Can't really see my man bun.
So I partnered with Scrooge or the Grinch.
I was thinking more like a wise old man. Have you ever been like in a conference or even in a discussion with somebody, right? And all of a sudden you just kind of go like this. You kind of go,
And you completely lose focus to what they're saying.
right. Alpha brainwave state is where you're categorizing all the information that you've just taken in and compartmentalizing it and organizing it. It's like when you can't take any more at the moment.
Too much for the conscious mind.
Too much.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Ruth.
I'm Corey.
This is the Ruth and Corey Show. We have a great topic today. I have asked Corey to talk about theta and alpha and delta brainwave states because we're doing an interview series coming up with several experts in the sound healing, sound therapy world. So we're going to introduce a little bit about why sound therapy can change your life.
You don't want to miss this one. We'll be talking about the various levels of brainwave state from beta to alpha to theta to delta, then some who can reach gamma, doing it through sleep or through meditation. But this series that we're about to introduce to you will take you there through sound.
Yes, and so this series will be on our Patreon account, the interview series, and you can find us at patreon.com, Violet Flame 432, as in 432 hertz. And so the links will be in the description box below. So, Corey, shall we get started?
Let's do this.
I would love to know, what are brainwave states and how can they affect me? Why should I even be interested?
So you want to know more about the various brainwave states?
Yes.
Okay. The reason that you want to go into alpha, theta, and delta brainwave state is because right now, if you're watching this, Ruth and I, right now, we're in beta brainwave state. And beta brainwave state is when your brain's operating anywhere from 13 to 22 hertz.
Okay.
And there's actually three levels of beta: low, medium, and high. So the listeners right now, our audience, you're in low beta brainwave. You're conscious, you're paying attention to what we're saying, you're just kind of taking it in. Now, if I were to tell you all, you got to stay in that seat and can't get up for any more coffee, can't have dinner, can't even go to sleep until you pass this little quiz that we're about to give you on all these brainwave states. You would immediately go into mid-level beta brainwave state where you're paying a little bit more attention, more focused, getting into understanding better, consciously comprehending what it is that we're talking about.
Okay.
And then there's high level beta, or what did I say? Beta, right? Yeah. High level beta, which that's your fight, flight, or hide. The house is on fire, the tigers are around the corner, and the zombies are chasing you.
Ultra focused, ultra intentional.
That is when you go into muscle memory. You don't even think anymore, you just react.
Okay.
Your adrenaline is through the roof and you are running for your life. That's high beta. So those are the three levels of beta. Now, the other thing that happens in beta is you have your logical, analytical, critical thinking mind going. And God love it. And thank God we have it. It's great. And it has a function, it has a purpose. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the nice things that we have, buildings.
Our lists,
we wouldn't
to-do lists.
We wouldn't have our paper. It's what allows us to take inspiration and put it into practice. That's what our analytical, logical, critical thinking mind allows us to do. On the flip side of that, what we can't do when we're in beta brainwave is go into a deeply relaxed state, which allows our body and mind to repair, amongst other things. So meditation and deep relaxation cannot be achieved in beta brainwave.
In the conscious
with
to do everyday state of being.
And what you want to do is you want to get your logical, critical thinking, analytical mind out of the way. Get it out of the way. And what that does is it allows your body's innate intelligence then to take over and then to start repairing your body, both physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally.
So
states.
first we did beta brainwave, which is the conscious mind.
Right.
What's the next step after that if you wanted to start going into the subconscious to heal, balance, cleanse?
Right.
What would the next step be?
Okay, so the next step would be the alpha brainwave state. So like I mentioned, beta brainwave state is between 13 and 22 hertz. That's the operating frequency of your brain when you're in beta brainwave state. The next level down would be alpha brainwave state, and that's when your brain's operating at 8 to 13 hertz. And what happens okay, how do you know when you're in alpha brainwave state? It's very simple. You do it every day. In fact, we just talked about it a few minutes ago. It's a daydream. If you can recognize that you are daydreaming, then you are in alpha brainwave state. It's kind of like that. It's that when you're listening to somebody and all of a sudden you zone out.
I have no clue what you're saying right now, but I'm nodding yes. That kind of stage.
Oh, I thought you were really talking to me. Okay.
No. When you stare at somebody like, and your
mind somewhere else.
Is somewhere else.
Right. So you may actually be somewhere else, like thinking about what am I going to wear to the party tonight, or you could just be allowing your brain to process the information that you've just taken in. It's kind of like, okay, I've taken in enough information to the point where I need to categorize it, file it, so that I can put it to use later. That's what you're doing in that brainwave state. The other thing that you're doing in that brainwave state is getting your analytical thinking, critical thinking, logical mind out of the way. This is a bridge. Alpha brainwave state is a bridge between your conscious and your subconscious mind.
Would you say, like, when you try to meditate on your own without music, but you just go that first part of meditation where you just become quiet and you try, is that like going to open up that first alpha?
That is one of the ways to get to that first stage. Yes.
Quietness.
If you sit in quiet, just sit in quiet and start focusing on your breathing. You know, start focus on something like some kind of body process, the beating of your heart, your breathing, stomach rising and falling, chest rising and falling. When you start to focus on those things, then it takes you into alpha. If you're going to sit there in the quiet and start thinking about all the things that you got to do tomorrow, you're not in alpha. You're not anywhere near alpha. You're still in beta and you are experiencing anxiety. Anxiety is more or less worried about things that are going to happen that you have, that they haven't even gotten to you yet. And you're worrying about what they're going to do. Or you are focusing and fixated on something that's already happened. Again, nothing you can do about it, and that's called depression.
So future or past?
Anxiety, depression.
Okay, and so you want to get into the present.
Want to be into the
present. And you can do that through focusing on a bodily function, breathing, or even some sort of visualizing light. Sometimes I think I do that. And I just focus on visualizing light in my body or around me.
Yes.
And it gets my mind out of the way.
And I would say for more advanced people, that's a great way to do it. For people who are just beginning or have never tried anything like this, let me explain it to you this way. Focusing on the beating of your heart. If you can get quiet and just start paying attention to the beating of your heart.
It gets us into that first alpha stage.
It does, but why is the question. So I'm explaining this so that those who want to know the why or the scientifically minded will have a better understanding of how this helps you. Or your breathing. The reason that you want to focus on those kind of functions is this, because your heart cannot beat in the future and your heart is not beating in the past. Your breath is not happening in the future. Your breath is no longer happening in the past. Your heart beats and your breath happens now. It's in the present moment. It can't exist in the future and it can't exist in the past. Therefore, if you are focusing on your breath or your heartbeat, you are in the present and you are not focusing on anxiety, future, depression, past. Staying present in the moment, in the now, that's what is going to bridge you into alpha.
Beautiful. Okay, so what's the next stage after alpha?
Alpha. Okay. Then we start getting into some fun stuff. So alpha can be fun too, especially if you're daydreaming and you snap out of it and you're like, whoa, that was pretty cool. What was I just thinking about? Wow. And you can recall what you were just thinking about, right?
Mhm.
Theta would be your deep relaxation and inward focus. So this would be comparable to if we're relating going down this ladder in terms of sleep. Theta would be comparable to the rapid eye movement stage of sleep. This is where you dream. This is where you are in deep relaxation. This is where in sleep you're actually processing the day's events. Again, kind of like when you zone out talking to somebody, theta is your body's or your mind's method of categorizing all the things that you've taken in during the day, filing it away so that you can process it again at some at some point
In the subconscious.
in the subconscious mind, right? um the the other thing that theta does for you is it influences your creativity, it influences your intuition, it influences your memory.
Wow.
Yes, and that happens when you sleep. The other cool thing about theta is where you can get those sudden bursts of inspiration. Like you wake up and you're like, oh, that's how I solve that problem. And it just comes to you, right? So you get these it's like this problem solving state. And it's like this you get these like just inspirational
Epiphanies.
yes, insights, revelations, right,
which are coming from our higher self.
is coming from our
In
higher
the
self.
subconscious, having processed all the information,
Right.
but our conscious mind didn't have the capacity to put it together, give us a problem solving solution. So our subconscious did it. Is that accurate?
And it does it in sleep.
Right. It did it in the
and why does it do it in sleep instead of when we're awake? Because when we're awake, we're usually in beta brainwave. You've got your logical thinking, critically thinking, logical mind going. And you know what else that's connected to? Ego.
yeah.
Again, ego's not bad. Don't get me wrong. Neither is your beta brainwave state. Oh, you need all that stuff. You really do. But the problem is when you're trying to go with this creative, intuitive, problem-solving, memory-enhancing state, you start questioning it. Once you start questioning it, you can immediately attribute that to the ego. Immediately. When the ego gets involved, it really negates the whole intuitive process.
Because the ego can be connected to our self-protection, to the way we've always done things, to our patterns, to our cycles, to our programming, and what are people going to think of me? Right. And is this really going to work? Our doubts, our fears.
Right. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So that's your theta.
So that's the one you want to reach to get divine inspiration, creativity, and to solve problems. That deep relaxation theta brain.
Yeah, state. Theta brainwave is a very, very nice place to be.
Okay.
Now there's two other stages to go through.
Okay.
Now the fourth stage you don't necessarily go through in sleep, but we'll talk about that. The last step when we're talking about sleep is the delta brainwave, also known as deep relaxation or deep sleep. There is no rapid eye movement. You're not dreaming. Your body is more or less paralyzed. You cannot physically move during delta. It is all focused inward. So your brain is working at 0.5 to 4 hertz. That's how fast your brain is working, 0.5 to 4 hertz. Delta is an incredible place to be as well. Now, again, most people will go into delta during sleep, and I'll explain the exceptions in a moment. But delta is critical to reach. And the reason delta is critical to reach is because that's where your body's innate intelligence goes into all levels of cellular and DNA repair.
Okay.
It's critical for body repair, energy, energy restoration. This is where you recharge. This is where you recharge.
So balance the mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah.
Help the body to possibly heal itself.
Mhm. Yep.
Self-healing.
Yep.
Physically,
Exactly.
emotionally, mentally.
So it's interesting when you start thinking about this, is why are so many people sick these days? And the reason is because a lot of people never reach delta brainwave state during their sleep. I'm one who's got sleep apnea, which means that in the middle of the night, for various reasons, the airflow gets cut off and I don't breathe. Now, my body's not going to just let me die. It's going to wake me up in order for me to take a breath. And it does that by injecting amounts of adrenaline into my body to make me jumpstart, right?
Okay.
Like a jump scare, right? And to breathe. And so people with sleep apnea tend to get woken up over and over and over again in the middle of the night. Some people several times a minute. Like, I know somebody who was getting woken up like 17 times a minute. It was crazy. Like every 3 to 4 seconds, they would get woken up. Now, the problem with that is by getting woken up that often, you never reach delta brainwave state. You never reach deep relaxation. You never reach the point where your body's innate intelligence can take over and start healing you on a cellular level. And that contributes to why so many people are sick these days. Now, sleep apnea is not the only reason why you wouldn't reach delta. There's plenty of other reasons why. And fortunately for sleep apnea, we have things like CPAP machines that help people keep constant airway pressure, and then they can get into those states. Delta can also be described as like an unconscious state. And like I mentioned, loss of physical awareness. You don't even know that you exist physically. And when you're in delta, again, so that's 0.5 to 4 hertz. Now, that's the last stage that your brain's going to get to when you're sleeping. Now, the other interesting thing is that you can reach each of these stages during meditation. And we're going to do a series on meditation at some point, but that's not what we're here to talk about today.
Right.
There's one more stage that you have the potential to reach. It's called gamma. Now, this is going to seem a little counterintuitive because gamma, to the best of my knowledge, can only be reached after you go through these levels of brainwave function. And if anybody is an expert in this field and knows differently than this, then please put in the comments, because I would love to be corrected if I misspeak. But gamma brainwave state is your brain operating from 30 to 100 hertz. Let's put that into perspective. Beta, in fight, flight, or hide, you're at 22. So in gamma, you're going above that, but you're only reaching that state once you've gotten down through delta.
Interesting. And delta is lower.
Delta is 0.5 to 4 hertz.
Okay.
Right. Now, gamma is really a kind of an anomaly. I don't know anybody who's gone to gamma. I've only read things about people going to gamma, but apparently in this stage, your body and your brain, your entire brain goes into super coherence. Everything is talking, everything is balanced, everything is working together. And bursts of inspiration and knowledge and understanding are just incredible. I wish I knew a little bit more about it, but it's the highest level of brain function, and not higher as in fight, flight, or hide, I'm running faster,
Right.
or anything like that. It's more of your highest cognitive function, where you are not only conscious and thinking,
Mhm.
but you're completely connected to spirit.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Wow.
And again, I'm no expert on any of this. And so anybody who has additional understanding about this, I would love to hear more about it. So please comment and let us know.
I've never heard such a clear way of it being put. So this is a good way that my mind can understand it with the numbers and then the simple descriptions of what it would look like for the body.
Yeah, and again, putting it scientifically for a lot of people makes sense. Now, there are couple ways to reach these stages minus gamma. You do it through sleep, so you do it every day. Most people do it every day. Almost everybody does it through delta, but a lot of people don't. So you achieve these states during your rest cycle, which should be about 7 to 8 hours per day. The other way that you reach these stages is through meditation, and that's another story for another time. But we're going to be talking about sound and frequency, and how can you reach these stages by using this methodology. So we've got a couple really cool interviews coming up, don't we?
Yes, and I've connected to a man named Ben Carroll. He's coming up as one of our experts in the sound industry, and he puts you into using sound and voice, puts you into that deep state of relaxation. And I even have a testimony there, something that I saw in a vision that he triggered. But it doesn't have to be visions, does it, for you?
No.
It can just be a state of relaxation where your subconscious mind begins aligning everything to give you the problem-solving solutions you need.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right.
We also did an interview where someone used sound frequencies. The body took the sound frequencies and actually overcame Lyme disease.
Lyme disease. Yes.
Lyme disease was overcome using sound frequencies, and the body just began healing and balancing itself. And she was off her medication.
That's right. And you'll learn more about that when you see our interview with Vicki Gould.
With Vicki Gould.
Gould. That's what I said, Gould. So, and the third interview in the sound healing series is a friend of ours named Kim, who operates something called the harmonic egg, which uses sound and light to heal the body. So you don't want to miss this series. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to love it.